Good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. And thank you for joining us here today at IMGIS. I am thrilled to be introducing our partner Clearion, an IMGIS 2020 award recipient for solution alignment, as they share in a panel discussion, New Frontiers, Efficient and Sustainable Infrastructure Operations. I am pleased to introduce you now to Chris Kelly, CEO and co-founder of Clearion.
Thanks, Jessica, and hi, everyone. It's great to be here today. As Jessica said, my name is Chris Kelly. I'm the CEO and a co-founder at Clearion. We're excited and grateful for the opportunity to share this next hour with you. A little bit about Clearion. We started our company in 2007 with a mission to give electric utilities better tools for their vegetation management programs. These programs represented an estimated $4 to $5 billion in annual OpEx spend, just in the US alone. And now utilities had the added challenge of federal regulation following the 2003 blackout. Utility vegetation management surprised us in its complexity and variability across the utilities we were working with. We had envisioned building a standard suite of apps for utilities to manage their vegetation programs digitally. Instead, we found the need to build a flexible and configurable platform that allowed our products to adapt to a wide range of approaches and workflows. And as luck would have it, the software we built for utility vegetation management generalized some concepts that were fundamental to asset construction and maintenance across several industry verticals and within the broad world of infrastructure. Within a couple of years, Clearion found use cases for our products in utility asset mapping and maintenance, underground fiber design and construction, invasive species mitigation, and damage assessment. Around 5 years ago, we began applying our technology to vegetation management workflows along road and rail corridors. Innovative service providers in road and rail vegetation management began leveraging intelligent spray control systems, and we helped them integrate this data into our GIS-based solution to deliver the asset owners accurate and real-time data about the work that was happening along their rights-of-way. We believe that designing, building, and maintaining network infrastructure like the grid and transportation systems is best done with native geospatial tools. And from the outset, we believed that to truly solve these operational challenges, we needed more than mobile GIS. We needed to build location-aware work management systems that seamlessly integrate geospatial mobility tools for every stage in these complex processes. Since we started building our products and solutions on the Esri platform nearly 14 years ago, the world has changed in ways that have made construction and maintenance of infrastructure far more complex. Environmental concerns, public awareness, and a growing sensitivity to our clients' customer experience, along with their organizational reputation, are layered onto an already complicated and challenging operating environment. We're seeing a growing awareness that building and maintaining our infrastructure directly impacts the environment in our natural world. And we've seen the profound impact that natural disasters like hurricanes and wildfires can in return have on our infrastructure systems and the people that rely on them.
Hey, Chris.
These environmental...
And I think if you can share your slides too, you've got some good content there as well.
Okay, the slide's not coming through?
No slides here.
Okay, Jessica, are you having any issues with the slideshow?
We're not seeing it, Chris.
Okay, that is very strange. It was just shared. Okay. Let's see.
Why don't you keep talking, Chris, and I'll work with the platform on the back end to get things up and running for you.
Okay, I'll just try one more time to toggle the slides. Were they ever showing?
Since you joined.
And there we go.
There we go. You're good. Go in.
So now
there
they're showing? And still now?
Perfect.
There we go.
Rock and roll.
Okay, just rehearse it 100 times and you never know what's going to happen. So sorry about that, everybody. I did have some visuals here, but I'll just pick up where I left off. Okay. Let me just clear this screen out of the way. All right, Zoom is blocking my, there we go, great. All right. So picking back up, these environmental concerns are intertwined with the importance of customer satisfaction and public perception, which is capturing greater attention from the government agencies and corporate boards that oversee these infrastructure systems. When we do the work of building and maintaining these assets, we become highly visible to these attuned and sensitive stakeholders. And this attention and visibility magnifies the effect of our work on public perception, customer satisfaction, and our reputation for better or for worse. At the same time, these networks and the natural systems within the rights-of-way represent an opportunity for us to do more than provide safe, affordable, and reliable utility and transportation networks, but to actually be a part of solving these global challenges. Our goal in today's session is to connect the dots to the work that your organizations do to build and maintain network infrastructure to these opportunities for solving broader challenges in surprising and complementary ways. We're going to begin with a brief overview of our technology and our solutions, and then we're going to welcome one of our great customers, Rob Brewer, to describe how his electric and water utility is succeeding in their digital transformation through their partnership with Clearion and Esri. We'll then welcome Iris Caldwell from the Rights of Way as Habitat project at the University of Illinois at Chicago, where they're leading an industry effort to prepare for the listing of the monarch butterfly under the Endangered Species Act. This has the potential to profoundly disrupt the way we build and maintain electric, road, rail, and pipeline networks across the country. And we'll share what we can do to mitigate these impacts. Next, I'd like to introduce you to the work of Ali Kelly, who's the Executive Director of the RAY, a nonprofit that is advancing the development and application of technologies along the U.S. interstate system to promote greener, cleaner, and safer roadways. And then finally, we'll highlight some of the innovative and surprising ways that GIS-based work management software is allowing infrastructure managers to create positive engagement with local communities to support education, get healthy food to at-risk communities, and even improving the health and happiness of animals at my hometown zoo, Atlanta. And speaking of Esri, I'm extremely proud of the Clearion team for our incredible products and solutions that leverage the latest Esri technology. And we're proud to receive the Esri Alignment Award and grateful for the relationship that we've built with Esri over the years. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Dan Levy, Senior Product Manager at Clearion. Dan?
Thanks, Chris, and hi, everyone. I'd like to introduce you all to Clearion's all-new app built on the ArcGIS Runtime SDK. We released version 2.0 this October and has really opened the door for our customers to make successful digital transformations of their operations and maintenance workflows. We developed this powerful app to be cross-platform, meaning iOS, Android, and Windows 10. No loss functionality between the platforms. This gives organizations incredible flexibility when it comes to devices, whether they're a company issued, bring your own device, or an external vendor that you need to extend your workflow to. We uniquely architected this app to be adaptable for all industry workflows and all user roles. In a little bit, my colleague Chris Rogers will be showcasing some of our solutions for utilities and transportation that customers are currently using in the field today. Now, as a gold level partner and a recipient of the Esri Alignment Award, we are very much invested in providing the latest integration and support on the ArcGIS platform. Our application, as well as Esri's, leverage the named user licensing of the ArcGIS platform. This includes Esri Portal for user management and integration with third-party identity providers, with security options such as, but not limited to, XAML and single sign-on and more. We support a variety of different deployment patterns with ArcGIS Online and Enterprise to ensure your data is secure and accessible while extending the Esri group level administration of content to support internal and external users. This includes data management from ArcGIS Server or hosted in ArcGIS Online. Our app can also be deployed alongside Esri's off-the-shelf apps like Survey 123 and Collector. Where Clearion comes in is addressing complex construction and maintenance workflows that require a high degree of control through multiple stages and statuses, especially long life cycle work driven by cyclical or condition-based management programs. We accomplish this through a highly configured product suite that can be tailored to your unique workflow and deployed with one of our standard solution templates, which we'll cover momentarily. Next slide, please. As a cross-platform application, Clearion is easily accessible from all major app stores for download and compatible with enterprise mobile device management solutions. Users are typically up and running in less than 2 minutes. This application can be used online and offline. We support an intelligent on-demand process for bringing work offline. This download process will determine that data, including base maps, are required based on spatial extent of the work, as well as respecting the work management concepts implemented in the Clearion platform to ensure all work tasks, asset and property data, as well as reference data such as safety and hazard locations, customer notes, access paths, and more are packaged for offline use on your local device. Offline mode also boasts full functionality as online mode, so there is no sacrificing capabilities in areas that have no cell or data connection. The application consumes standard Esri feature services and web maps to make it easy to consume data from internal as well as external data sources. As I will show in a second, you can easily create and update data while leveraging our highly configurable automation capabilities to ensure capture of current date and user, inherit data from other features, as well as implement unique expressions based on various data conditions. You can take all these core capabilities and extend them to internal and external users like third-party contractors or vendors. You are able to set up a multitude of workflows with configurable roles based on your organization's needs that allow you to restrict data access, as well as workflow and functionality access. Users can seamlessly switch between workflows and roles as needed. Now, for a quick demonstration of some of the core functionality that users have access to them out in the field. As you can see on the left, we have a consumable Esri web map to provide spatial context for the user. When I move the slider up, you will see that the map and the list are tightly integrated. With one tap on the list or the map, the item is highlighted in the other. Now I can zoom into an area and select a few spans on the map, and then tap the blue button saying complete. This will open a configurable pop-up that auto captures my name, today's date. You could also see that it's been completed in the list as well as the map. Next, I will move over to my asset tab to search for a specific structure. Once I have entered the ID of my target structure, the list will filter down for easy identification. This type of functionality can be enabled on any GIS layer. Lastly, I will move back to the Task tab and select the pencil of one of the items on the list. This will open a completely configurable smart form. This form can be configured per workflow and per role. There are a number of different form controls that you can choose from that support all Esri geodatabase field types. Attachments can be enabled as well, which my colleague Chris Rogers will demonstrate. This application that I have introduced to you here today can connect to any schema in Esri data, and we can easily modify the behavior of the app through open source configuration, meaning zero custom code. And while this flexibility is extremely beneficial to our customers with unique business needs, we understand the need to sometimes get the system online quickly. That's where our solution team comes in. We have developed excellent pre-configured solutions for utility, transportation, and telecom workflows that you can deploy in less than a week and begin to enjoy the benefits of automation and digital transformation almost immediately. To share more about two of our solution templates that leverage this runtime application, I'd like to introduce Chris Rogers.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Well, let's first take a quick look at the Clearion Utility Vegetation Management Solution template. I'm going to refer to this solution moving forward simply as Clearion UVM to keep it simple. And we've got a little demo here to walk you through. So the first step is for the manager to create a work planning assessment for a forester. And you can see the manager search and select a specific circuit to dispatch the assessment on. The manager can zoom and highlight to review the extent of the circuit. And once they've found the circuit where they want the work plan or the assessment to be conducted, they hit the New Assessment button. This creates a new assessment record where the manager can start to basically fill out some key fields in the form. And note that those forms, they can actually fill out automatically based on the circuit or the work territory that the assessment is created from. And there's other fields that are automatically filled in based on other configurable business rules. And then if things need to be entered manually, then the manager can do that as well. Here they're putting in the due date and estimated duration. There's also the concept of work groups, which is very similar. The idea is that a work group is about dispatching a work group of tasks directly to a GF for work execution. Same idea applies here. You search for the circuit or feeder, create that new work group, and what happens is you can enter the key details about that work group in order to assign that circuit to the contractor for execution. Once your assessments and work groups are completed and created by the manager, we can actually switch over to the Clearion app and we can take a look at how the assessment phases and work execution phases are actually conducted within the app. Go ahead, Chris, and move on to the next demo. Okay, so now we're logged into the Clearion app and I'm an assessor or a work planner, and my first step is to really search and open my highest priority assessment assignment from my manager. I can review the work assessment overview and move the assessment to in progress to notify management that the planning has been initiated. This updates any associated dashboards or reports. Opening the assessment brings up the work details, and any tasks that have been planned as part of the assessment display in both the list and the map views based on the status of the work. The assessor can zoom into the map, use their GPS to locate themselves, and then add tasks using the big green button at the top of the list. A work template can be selected to specify the type of the work, and these templates are configurable and can be used to quickly enter your most commonly used tasks in our intelligent forms. The task location is captured on the map, and any key information about the task can be entered into the form, such as status, task description, quantity, species notes, etc. And as the assessor completes the form, our data automation engine can be used to populate fields and streamline the data entry, such as property owner information, address from nearby parcel, etc. If the assessor is responsible for managing the notification authorization process for the landowner, this can also be tracked. And these key things can be tracked. The attachment functionality at the bottom you can see here that we're working on right now, this allows existing images to be embedded, as well as images taken directly from the device or PDFs. To enter another task, the task template can be actually changed over to, for example, linear work, where you might be able to identify some linear pruning or some other prescription. And if you enter work in this fashion, it will actually capture the distance of work automatically based upon the way that it's entered into the map. You'll also see we can change the template right over to a work area if you want to identify a mowing location and automatically capture, for example, the units in area or acreage for the task. Once those tasks have been planned, let's say that you're coming back later and you're talking to the landowners and you want to authorize that work at a later time through the phone call, you can go ahead and capture that authorization, and entering the authorization changes the color, changes the status of the tasks, and updates them in the map and the list respectively. So it's just a spatial checklist for your field crews to work through. Now that I've completed my planning, I can move back to my assessment overview and take a look at my dashboard and see I've got 6 authorized work tasks and I've completed my assessment phase. Now we're going to move on to the GF section for the work execution phase. We're going to log into the exact same app, but again, now we're going to be logged in as a GF role. And it's very similar. The GF's going to come in. they're going to be able to do the exact same process, search and identify the highest priority work group that they're working on. And they're going to be able to open that work group of interest and review the dashboard to understand the number of tasks assigned to the work group as well as their current status. Once you zoom into and open the work group, you'll be able to select multiple tasks from the map and use the complete button to complete the work in bulk and auto capture the GF name and the date and time that the work is completed. In this example, we can also demonstrate how the landowner can actually refuse some of the standard trimming work. However, we can also ultimately record that we did receive authorization to do one of the critical trims and it was allowed, and that can be entered manually by the GF in addition to the adjacent to the refusal, so you can see that that work was actually captured and executed, completed and executed. Again, if we go back to our work group dashboard, once that's been submitted and completed, it will take us back to our dashboard overview, and you can see again a summary of all the different tasks in the work group as well as the status that they're in. If we go back into the work group, we can demonstrate one additional workflow. The tabs along the top represent different configurable types of workflows that we can set up. And in this area, we can actually show how any trim request dispatched from a customer call center can be delivered to the Clearion app through integration and marked complete with notes. So in conclusion, all this operational information is used to update your enterprise GIS in real time so it can be accessible organization-wide for reporting and situational awareness. Chris, if you want to move over to the dashboard example, we'll talk briefly about that. Okay, so here's one example of a Esri operational dashboard. We use these tools all the time across almost all our customer implementations. It's a great tool to be used, and you can see in this example, we're looking at, tree tickets, total man hours, total dollars on the annual plan, and so on and so forth. But that's the outcome and the results of implementing a high quality operational solution with the data collection methodologies implemented with the proper controls that a solution like the Clearion tool can provide. So now we're going to move on to the transportation solution template, and we're going to start out in the work management application again. And very similarly, the work manager is going to be searching for a county this time to create a new roadwork plan. The manager can zoom and highlight the extent of the county to verify the area and create a new work plan. And once they create their new roadwork plan, they can enter some basic information about that roadwork plan, such as the foreman and the cycle and the due date of that particular work plan. Once that information is entered, we can see that in the work task view, there's a number of road sections that are associated with this work plan, and we can select all of them or a subset of them to dispatch out to the work plan for execution. Assigning the road sections to a plan makes them available for the foreman in the Clearion app. And now we're the foreman, we're in the Clearion app, and you can see they can review all the different work plans and priorities assigned to their contractor group. And if they know the county or work plan where they'll be working, they can use the search panel to identify that particular work plan. Opening the work details shows the 11 road sections to be completed, and they can be selected from the map or the list. Other key information like wildflowers or other sensitive or protected or restricted areas can also be overlaid into the app so that you can compare and plan your operations around these sensitive items. Once a crew initiates work, the road sections can be marked as active, and updating any associated dashboards or reports at the same time. This can be done individually or in bulk. Notice the status updates in the list and the map that clearly communicate these updates to the field and management, other field and management personnel. Once the road sections are completed, it is just as easy to select them and mark them as complete, and we can switch over to our auditor workflow. Now we're logged in as an auditor, same process applies, log into the associated work plan where the audit needs to occur. And once we open up our work plan, we'll see all the open tasks associated with that work plan and anything that's been completed, or we can start to review to assign for audit where necessary. Again, if we move back to our work plan overview, we can see the status of all the road sections in the plan. At the same time, all this work is happening out in the field. We can see the updates in near real time from our Esri dashboard. We can use filters like the work cycle and so on and so forth to dig down into the really high quality field intelligence information that we're trying to understand from a management perspective. So I hope you've enjoyed these solution overviews for UVM and DOT. These solutions, they're powered by the Esri platform and are allowing us to deploy and drive adoption in less than a week with virtually no upfront cost. Thanks for your time, and feel free to post any questions in the chat. Chris, some audio issues there, I think.
Okay, thanks, Chris. That was great. Really good work, and it's awesome to see how quickly we can stand up these solutions and get folks operational out in the field. Now I'd like to introduce Rob Brewer. Rob is the president and CEO of PUC, which is a municipal electric and water utility. He's joining us today to offer his insight into deployment and adoption of infrastructure maintenance solutions. So Rob, welcome.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks everyone for joining. I think we have a unique story to share and a unique approach as well that I hope will give you some ideas on some things that might work at your utility. PUC is a group of companies that treats and distributes water, treats wastewater, and distributes electricity to the city of Sault Ste. Marie and also to a variety of other municipalities and First Nations across Northern Ontario. PUC has been around for just over 100 years, and it's an important part of the fabric of Sault Ste. Marie. Sault Ste. Marie is a border town between Ontario and Michigan. It's right at the nexus of Lake Superior and Lake Huron. And another way we like to explain it is that if you're from the States and you take I-75 all the way up, eventually you hit Canada, and that's Sault Ste. Marie. So like a lot of utilities, we had developed numerous processes that tracked pretty much everything we did. And we did it using paper and we did it using spreadsheets. And one of the main drivers for this project was we had a strategic initiative that we had created to move the organization towards being paperless. And so we needed to be able to incorporate the things that we tracked, like the inspections and maintenance, into a single digital platform. We already had our assets in a GIS system. Our assets obviously are geographical. So this seemed like the right platform to try to leverage. And in doing this, the hope was that we could reduce the number of contacts that we had with paper forms and improve some efficiencies. So ideally, we were trying to create a one-touch system. To start, we identified some low-hanging fruit that we thought that we could adapt fairly easily to a digital platform. And we wanted to get both our water and electric operations involved. And so what we did was we took some recurring tasks like maintenance and inspections that were ideal for looking at. We also, vegetation management was our way of sort of extending what we do into our third-party contractors and establishing a use case for that application as well. So we identified a number of wins that we thought we could achieve over a fairly short period of time. And we have, as I mentioned, a large number of paper and spreadsheet forms that really don't give us any opportunity for significant data mining. And so we took those and a few manual processes that we knew that could be automated. We had some limited visibility into work status and work progress and crew productivity. And most of all, one of the significant challenges we had was with respect to our workforce. And they really had a wariness or a hesitancy to anything that had to do with change. And so I'm sure a lot of you have faced the same challenge. And so what we did was we engineered a solution to that challenge into the way we rolled out the program. And we'll discuss that in a couple minutes. The solution that we landed on was to partner with Clearion. And I'd had some experience and was familiar with some of the Clearion solutions. We utilized ArcGIS. We hosted it on an AWS Canada server. And in doing this, we're able to leverage our rich, high quality asset and land GIS data. And we also had the reporting visibility that we needed through the operations dashboard. As I mentioned earlier, one of the largest challenges we faced was trying to get our workforce to buy into the solution we wanted. Now, we've been in business for a little over 100 years. And at times, I think there's a mindset that what's worked for the last 10 decades should probably be how we do business going forward. And so our plan to overcome this was to try and get the technology into their hands in a way that solved a problem that frontline staff could see and that saved them from doing something that they didn't really want to have to do. And so we tried to identify some processes and forms that were pain points for them. And in year one, we introduced it through what we called at the time a proof of concept on a reasonable pace. So we tried to just sort of move it along on a pace that they could deal with. And then what we've done is we've planned to scale that over subsequent years, and we have. And they'll be then using the platform that they'd become familiar with through the pilot. And we've added new features, new processes, and of course, improved some of the capabilities. So once again, Clearion was a fantastic platform for this, as it's quite user-friendly, it's field-ready, and it's easily scaled. So what you see on the screen there is an example of the operations dashboard that we use to monitor the inspection and repair progress across our water and electric asset maintenance programs. We're able to have insight into the operations that we didn't previously have, and we're able to course correct a lot quicker than we previously could have. These dashboards connect in real time to our Clearion Esri database. In Ontario, there's currently a shortage of vegetation management contractors and personnel. In order for us to be able to do line work, most utilities require utility arborists that are accredited through a regulatory college called the Ontario College of Trades. And large utilities have in the past few years, they've started to release large amounts of work to contractors that they hadn't traditionally done. And it's created a real shortage of utility arborists. So that created an issue for utilities like ours. And to solve that, we partnered with a couple other utilities. And we started our own utility arborist firm, called it 17 Trees, because we're all joined by a highway here, Highway 17, all the partners were, and created an attractive destination for personnel and recruited people into it quite successfully. It was able to address some of the labor shortages that we were seeing and allowed us to increase the bar with respect to training and safety on what is one of our highest risk activities. In doing that, we were able to extend the Clearion solution out to our contractor, 17 Trees. And in doing so, we extended the platform out to 2 other utilities, and it's been quite well received. So this is our desktop work management model. It's where we build inspection schedules, where we create work orders for asset and tree maintenance tasks that have been identified in the inspection process. And this application sends work instructions out to field users and allows us to set priorities and ensure that the highest impact work is routed to the appropriate people in the field. And in this example, we're building vegetation work orders that we send out to the 17 Trees line clearance professionals. This is the new Clearion app that we've deployed out to the 17 Trees crews. This app leverages the Esri runtime technology. It's keeping PUC in line with the roadmap of the Esri platform that we use here at PUC and throughout the city. And in this app, crews receive work locations in a map with our assets and landowner information. Users can see the status of work locations that have been assigned to them across all assigned work orders. And they can navigate to the approved and assigned work locations and view any safety issues or restrictions. They're then able to mark the work complete or to note any exceptions, and the app allows crews to automatically receive rework assignments and to track their backlog of defect resolution tasks as they arise. So the project has seen some significant positive results. Pace of inspections has accelerated due to the reduced time required for data entry. Future inspections are being automatically scheduled through the system. Visibility to the asset and land data in the field is more seamless. And the history is now digital, and it's all linked back to our GIS asset records. And finally, it's enabled our UVM outsourcing strategy, as we can now monitor production and value better for our vegetation management contractor. Over the next 2 years, we'll continue to roll out the next phases of the project, and we'll end up with a full work management product. We'll be migrating to the Clearion runtime app for all field users. As I mentioned, we're currently using and piloted that with the line clearance crews last quarter. And we'll be continuing to see if we can find other potential use cases within our system so that we can expand some of the successes that we've seen with the Clearion Esri solution. So just wanted to close by saying that it's definitely been a pleasure for PUC to work with Clearion on this project. They're great to work with. They really are positioned to provide the support that we needed, and they really helped us find a solution that would work for us rather than one just out of the box. So it was quite a pleasure, and we appreciate them very much for it.
Thank you, Rob. It's been a pleasure working with you and your team, and we really appreciate you being here today and telling a fantastic story of adoption. Next, I would like to introduce Iris Caldwell, and Iris is joining us from the University of Illinois at Chicago and has some fascinating information to share about using our rights-of-way as habitat and some potential upcoming legislation that we should all be aware of. Iris?
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. Happy to be here and share some of the work that we're doing with energy companies and transportation agencies through a working group that we call Rights of Way as Habitat. If you go to the next slide. So I'm sure you all have seen the headlines, heard the news. Our pollinator populations are in a serious decline all around the world. And habitat loss is one of the primary factors that is often cited as being one of the causes. And so increasingly you're seeing at state and federal levels a variety of pollinating insects and other animals that are being considered for threatened or endangered status within the US, again, at the Fish and Wildlife Service at a federal level, but also by state agencies. And the monarch butterfly being one of the iconic species that has certainly grasped a lot of folks' attention, given the wide geography and also just the passion that people feel for this iconic species. And if you advance twice, Chris, here I've shown the graph of the population decline just to give an indication of how significant that has been in the last several decades. And you can see certainly in just the last couple of years, particularly in the Western population in green, how very dire the situation is for monarch butterflies. So if you go to the next slide, what we have done within the Rights of Way as Habitat Working Group is really engage in some active discussion with electric, transmission, railroads, departments of transportation that are all managing, as you all know, very extensive networks of lands across the country. And if you really think of these infrastructure lands layered on top of each other, there's such an extensive network of lands and vegetation that really provides a unique landscape to think about creating pollinator habitat. And if you advance once more, with that map in your mind, think about the Monarch Migration Map here and how impactful that habitat on rights of way could be for creating these corridors for pollinating insects like the monarch and certainly others to be able to navigate across the landscape. So to the next slide, what we have found then in our discussions with these right-of-way managers is on one hand, there's a lot of interest in finding ways to support pollinators and other wildlife that so desperately need this habitat, and a recognition that there's a lot of habitat already out there on these energy and transportation lands, but at the same time a concern that a potential listing decision under the Endangered Species Act could dramatically impact and limit the ability to conduct routine management or maintenance activities on those lands. And so there's this kind of push-pull scenario of what should a right-of-way manager do. So enter this really unique mechanism that the Fish and Wildlife Service has called a Candidate Conservation Agreement with Assurances, otherwise known as a CCAA, which is a pre-listing tool. It's voluntary that non-federal land managers can enter into to proactively commit to do conservation to support an at-risk species, in this case, the monarch butterfly. And in exchange for doing that voluntary conservation, they receive regulatory assurances that if the species were to become listed under the Endangered Species Act, no additional requirements or restrictions would be put upon them beyond what they've voluntarily committed to doing as part of their enrollment in the agreement. So this really provides a very flexible solution for organizations that want to help, they want to create habitat, but don't want to have the additional restrictions that might come along with a potential listing decision. It also provides an immediate benefit to the monarch, as well as some long-term commitment of that habitat, which is really important as we think about the long-range needs of insects like the monarch and others. And through this agreement that we finalized earlier this year, we aim to create more than 2 million acres of habitat on energy and transportation lands across the US. Next slide. So in support of that, we have been also working with these same energy and transportation partners to have a common language to describe the value of that pollinator habitat that they see on the landscape. This provides a consistent valuation method that can be used across the energy and transportation sectors. And so we've developed this multi-tiered tool that provides different formats of assessing the habitat on your right-of-way or other energy or transportation lands based on the skill level and the time that that user has in the field. We're using the Survey123 platform, and this supports both voluntary as well as compliance reporting. Next slide. That data from the pollinator scorecard then is being brought into a central geospatial database that we've created to serve as a mechanism for tracking where and how habitat is being managed on energy and transportation lands across the US. This facilitates collaborations and partnerships between organizations, maybe who are operating in the same vicinity and may want to partner on habitat projects. It provides a really valuable tool to communicate with partners and the public in general about the conservation value that these energy and transportation lands are providing. And also provides us a really important mechanism to be able to engage with resource agencies like the Fish and Wildlife Service and state fish and wildlife agencies to potentially help avoid future species listings like the monarch butterfly. So that's just a real quick snapshot of some of the work that we're doing within the Rights of Way as Habitat Working Group. Encourage you to go to our website to find more information. Under tracking and monitoring on the website, you can find information both about the pollinator scorecard as well as the geospatial habitat database. I provided my contact information there as well, and happy to answer questions in the chat.
Iris, thank you so much. This is really great work, and it's been impressive for us and for me personally to see how your working group of infrastructure operators, of a wide range of environmental organizations that come to these sessions, these working sessions, as well as the state and federal regulators have worked together to really productively come up with this solution over the past several years. It's an amazing accomplishment, and I really encourage everyone that's here watching a part of this event this week to get involved. I'm also really happy to announce that Clearion is going to be partnering with Iris's group to create a permanent home for the pollinator habitat database, this geodatabase, this Esri platform-enabled tool, along with the Survey123 solution, will be a resource for the entire Esri community, and we're really pleased to be able to support that. So now I'd like to turn to another sustainability initiative, which is doing some fascinating work to unite transportation and electric utilities. Ali Kelly is the executive director of the RAY, and unfortunately she's not able to join us live today, but she did record a really great presentation about the work that's happening at the RAY. And I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what she's doing, and I hope you'll dig deeper by watching her full presentation and her TED Talk. So the RAY is a reference to a foundation by Ray C. Anderson, who is a green industrialist. And what they're doing is trying to create and creating a living laboratory for technology that really will be part of the transportation infrastructure of the future. This is located in Western Georgia, just south and west of Atlanta. And it's a fairly sizable stretch of U.S. Interstate 85 corridor. They're doing a ton of really fascinating things, but a few that I wanted to point out is bringing solar generation to the interstate right away. And there's going to be some great work coming out. I think more Esri facing tools that you'll be able to see and utilize that looks at how we can use available lands along the federal highway system to do very large scale solar generation. And the idea here is to use that as a way to really charge EV networks of the future with very large scale. The first large scale solar that's been implemented along the interstate in this program was done in partnership with Georgia Power. So here's the megawatt installation in Western Georgia. And one of the cool things that not only creates the intersection between the transportation industry and the electric industry is that they're also using the lands underneath and around the solar panels for large-scale pollinator habitat. And this is the first pollinator solar habitat in the country. A few other things they're doing is looking at using wildflower mixes to replace a lot of the turf grass that's planted along the rights of way with an eye towards beautification, but more importantly, reducing the amount of maintenance that needs to be done. And there's also some fascinating work being done with a perennial wheat species named Kernza, which not only can be used in manufacturing paper products, but also has really one of the highest carbon sequestration characteristics of most turf grass or similar types of plants. It's just barely scratching the surface. The RAY is working with a lot of really great organizations doing research and technology. Clearion has been working with them as just a close neighbor, and also an organization that's working with Georgia DOT and Georgia Power, which are both companies that we support. And we've helped them recently get onto the Esri platform with their own named user account, and we'll be helping support them with the use of GIS in all their initiatives. I really encourage you to check out Ali's video presentation. We've got a link to this. It's going up on YouTube. It'll be on our sustainability page that you can find in our virtual booth. And we'll also have a link to Ali's TED Talk, which should not be missed. Okay, we're in the home stretch here, and I just wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about some other really innovative stories, some great ways that we've seen infrastructure companies get involved with these sustainability initiatives and just other ways of giving back and engaging with the community. And we'll see if my link works. I'm just going to jump out to our sustainability page. And what I hope we're going to be able to find, there we go, is a link to a number of projects that are described through some Esri story maps. So this is our virtual booth coming up here. And if you go to our virtual booth in the expo section, you're going to find a link to our sustainability landing page. And I want to just point out a few things that are happening. The first thing is that we want to recognize work in urban canopy preservation that's happening in Trees Atlanta. Trees Atlanta is an organization that's planted over 130,000 trees in the Atlanta area over the past 20 years. They're planting 6, 7, 8,000 trees a year and doing large scale maintenance on those trees. I actually met Trees Atlanta through the head of vegetation management at Georgia Power, who sits on that board. And it's great to see the close cooperation between utility vegetation managers and canopy preservation, because that mission overlaps in ways that are really cool and surprising. The other thing I want to bring attention to is a really great program that we've facilitated with Georgia Power that is routing the byproducts of vegetation management, of tree trimming along rights-of-way, to organizations that can use those wood chips. And there's another story map here we've called Sustainability and Technology Connect. And what we've done here is we've helped Georgia Power connect up with organizations such as a group of community farms who are using their urban farming to actually not just provide educational opportunities for students, but they're actually routing the results of that farming, the food from that farming, to at-risk communities. And so what's happening is that through the ArcGIS platform, where an infrastructure company is already using geospatially enabled work management software to manage their work, they can simply flip on a map in their collector app and see wood site donations color-coded by whether they currently need or don't need wood chips. And so what's happening here is that tree trimming crews who would normally have to drive these wood chips out to remote wood chip dump sites are able to get those into the hands of people that need them. So we're reducing carbon outputs and also helping serve the community. And one of the ways that this is happening is through the donation of wood chips to the Urban Agricultural Group and the Grassroots Grower Alliance, which is supporting a school educational program, actually 2 schools, and a women's transitional center, which is training women coming out of the prison system to do farming and agriculture. And so we're routing wood chips directly from the tree trimming workers to these locations, and they're doing some really amazing work supporting the community. The work that occurred here with the wood chip donation led to another fantastic program that Georgia Power had been engaged in for several years, and that we found an opportunity to support them and to support the zoo. And what was happening is that the nutritionist at the Atlanta Zoo was really looking for ways to improve the diets of what they call browsers. So these are companies that are, sorry, these are animals that spend basically most of their time eating vegetation. And the nutritionist at the zoo was really interested in ways that he could increase the variety and therefore the health of the plant materials that they were eating. So they created a relationship with the Georgia Power's tree trimming group, where the zoo could go out ahead of the tree trimming crews and identify vegetation species that they knew that the tree trimmers would be cutting, and they would mark those and request that they be left behind, and then the zoo would come pick them up and feed them to the animals. So this was something that the power company was very happy to support. A local Atlanta company supporting a local Atlanta nonprofit, being the zoo, but it was logistically very challenging. The communication between the scouts who had to communicate to the tree trimming crews, who then had to communicate to the folks that came and collected the vegetation, really needed to be tight, and they were managing this through texts and other pretty manual means. And one of the downsides of this is that if the zoo didn't pick up all the vegetation, then that would be left in a landowner's yard, and could cause some potential issues where Georgia Power would have to go back and do cleanup. So what we did was, again, leveraging the fact that the power company already had an Esri-based solution in hand. We're able to create this new browser vegetation drop-off layer where the zoo could drop a map with drop a pin with collector, let the tree trimming crews know what they wanted to be left behind. The tree trimming crews would then change the status to be ready for collection, and then the zoo would actually indicate when it was collected and whether it was only partially collected or fully collected. And the result is that this process has been dramatically streamlined. The zoo is using a handful of collector seats, and the power company is really able to leverage their existing investment in GIS, and we're able to route food to these animals much more efficiently. And as a result of that engagement with the zoo, we got involved again with some charitable contribution that we did with our time and our software to help the zoos with another program that was about getting giant pandas their bamboo supplies from the public. And so pandas eat a lot of bamboo, and we're able to leverage the ArcGIS platform to move them from a spreadsheet-based tracking system where they would take public donations of bamboo and they would go out and harvest them, and then they would need to track, when they could go back out and harvest them again. As you can see, these sites are all over Metro Atlanta, and they're really important in keeping these rare panda species fed. And we're able to put together a really great, very fast program to get the bamboo program automated completely into the GIS, into the Esri platform. Next month, the zoo will be transitioning its public-facing website to a Survey 123 form that'll feed public volunteer offers of bamboo directly into ArcGIS, and they'll be able to manage that process from there. So really excited about this work. I think it shows that when infrastructure companies invest in these GIS-enabled work management systems and really get this technology into the hands of everybody involved in the process, that we're able to very easily spin up these other ancillary and very beneficial programs that benefit a wide range of stakeholders and ultimately benefit the public. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to speak with everyone, and I hope you have a great day. Please don't hesitate to shoot us some questions in the chat, and we'll be around in our booth all day today if anybody wants to connect. Thanks and take care.
Fantastic job. Thank you very much, Chris, and the rest of the team at Clearion. It was wonderful to have you here.